The Buffalo Bills made way too many mistakes and take a 1-point loss to the Eagles. My reaction to it is coming your way today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Well, folks, welcome in. The Buffalo Bills lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 13-12 and fall to 11-5 on the season. I'll give you my reaction to this game, and I want to approach our post-game discussion just a little bit different. I just want to talk about components of the team, offensively, defensively, get into the playoff outlook, talk injuries and those types of things. But what everyone seems to be discussing coming out of this game is how it ended. And, of course, the Bills score a touchdown right up against the end of the game. That puts them in a decision to kick an extra point. And if you make that extra point, you go to overtime, or you go for two and try to win the game right there. And the Bills opt to go for two. And unfortunately, Josh Allen misses an open Khalil Shakir on the 2-point conversion, and the Bills take a loss. I personally am 100% on board with the decision to go for two. And I sent a text message out to the Locked On Bills subtext community before that drive. I said, if we score, go for two. And for me, I didn't want to put the game in the hands of a practice squad kicker who was released after week 13 by the Colts for missing an extra point that led to a loss, who also missed an extra point last week, who also missed an extra point in the game we just watched in rainy conditions to make an extra point. I wasn't interested in seeing that. I was interested in seeing Josh Allen have the opportunity to make a play, gain 2 yards, and win a football game, and he missed the throw. He missed the throw. It's a good call. It's a good route. It's a bad ball. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. I'm telling you the way that I see it. I think the process was good. I said it before it happened. Josh Allen missed the throw. Now, look, my expectations for the Bills in this game were low. They were banged up on defense. Josh Allen's playing through a foot injury. I did not feel good about this game. And I'll be honest, it went a lot better than I thought it would. The team had some great chances to win the game. The defense played lights out, but ultimately the offense made way too many mistakes. So let's talk a little bit about this offense and focus in on Josh Allen. And of course, we've already discussed that he's the guy that missed the throw with the game on the line there on the 2-point play. Shakir was open. But that was not the only mistake that Josh Allen made in this game. He had the circus play fumble, which is a really bad mistake. 2nd and 2. It was 2nd and 2 from the plus 23. Joe Brady schemes up Jackson Hawes wide open in the flats. Throw the ball, get a first down, get a fresh set of downs. Josh Allen turns down the open primary read and extends the play. And in doing so, fumbles. And I know that some people don't think he fumbled. You think the arm was going forward. the call in the field was a fumble, and I understood why they stood with the call. I don't think Josh Allen had any intent of throwing that ball. I think he was tucking it away. There is no tuck rule. We can debate that all day long. But to me, I go back to the beginning of the play where it's 2nd and 2. You scheme up an open throw in the flats for a first down, and your quarterback turns it down. We didn't need to see any of that. Josh Allen should have just thrown that ball, got the first down, and let's go. Then you have that failed red zone sequence late in the third quarter. First down incomplete to Gabe Davis. It's 1st and goal from the 7. Then you get 5 yards on a 2nd down throw to Khalil Shakir that was behind him. If that ball is ahead of him, that's an easy walk in for a touchdown, but it's an inaccurate throw. Then you have a 3rd down run. It's 3rd and goal from the 2 with James Cook. The Bills are outflanked to that side. They don't have the math to their advantage. More guys than the Bills could block, and safety makes a great tackle in the hole. And you go for it on 4th down, which I think is a great decision. Josh Allen extends the play, had a chance to throw it to Ty Johnson, had a chance to throw it to Brandin Cooks. He tries to run it. He comes up short. What a failed opportunity. 1st and goal from the 7. No points. Game you lose by 1. Then there's the sack that Josh Allen takes in the 4th quarter, 13:30 left in the game. It's 3rd and 8 from the plus 27. Josh Allen says no to a check down to James Cook, says no to throwing it away, turns backwards, and takes a ridiculous sack that loses 19 yards, and you punt. And let's say that you throw an incomplete pass. It's 4th and 8 from the 27. You might think about going for that. Let's say that Josh Allen takes the check down to James Cook and whatever, he doesn't get the first down. He's a couple yards short. It's a reasonably good opportunity to go for it, but you can't take a 19-yard loss on the play, dude. You can't do it. Josh Allen took 5 sacks and lost 51 yards. And certainly not all of those are on him. I do think that 3 of them are, but you had a failed stunt exchange with David Edwards and Deion Dawkins that led to a sack. Osiris Torrance got ran over by Jalen Carter for a sack. But ultimately, losing 51 yards on 5 sacks in a defensive struggle, not great. Josh Palmer with a very costly drop in this game. Khalil Shakir with a very costly drop in this game. It was a 3rd down throw. It was like a 3rd and 1, something like that. Khalil Shakir wide open, plenty of space in front of him, drops the ball. Too many mistakes. The Bills ran the ball okay in this game. Was it 33 rushes for 120-something yards? James Cook, 20 for 74. That's 3.7 yards per carry. Certainly wasn't a dominant day running the football for the Bills offense, but you had some production. Brandin Cooks, how about that? That's a wonderful development. 4 catches, 101 yards on 6 targets. Open down the field. Was open down the field on one of those targets that wasn't a catch, and Josh put it over his outside shoulder, and I think he was looking for the ball on the inside shoulder. But point being, once again, he's open down the field, and boy, the drops were very frustrating the last couple of games. But as I said in the All-22 reviews, like, they're close, and I think we saw the Brandin Cooks game kind of happen here. It's the most potential down-the-field threat the Bills have had in 3 years. It's nice to see that. Tyrell Shavers had a monster 32-yard catch. Ty Johnson, Ray Davis with big first down producing catches. The hook and lateral that led to an explosive play on 4th and 10 with the game on the line. Dawson Knox, 5 catches for 30 yards on 5 targets. Had some good opportunities in this game, but ultimately in a defensive struggle. That's what this is, a 13-12 ball game. It's a defensive struggle. The Bills' offense was the offense that made the biggest mistakes. The Eagles scored a touchdown on a short field and got 2 field goals. The Bills had 9 more first downs, 141 more yards. They possessed the ball for 10 more minutes, but they didn't leave with a win because the Bills' offense made more mistakes, way more negative plays, turned over the football. And we're going to talk about that here on the other side of it as we get into the Bills' defense, which played lights out. But the thing that Philly did is they didn't beat themselves. We'll talk about that here next, folks. be sure to stick with me. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control. Prize Picks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on Prize Picks is quick and simple. The app is super easy to navigate, and it's made watching games more engaging, especially when following individual player performances. I love the flexibility with options like Flex Play, where you can still get paid even if one pick misses. And the new early payouts feature is a game changer. If a player starts hot, you can cash out before the game ends. So check it out. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Welcome back, folks who are reacting to the Bills 13-12 Week 17 loss to the Eagles. And I want to focus on the defense now, and what a performance it was for this Bills defense. You're down DaQuan Jones. You're down Jordan Poyer. In addition to, of course, being down Michael Hoyt at Oliver. And I was really concerned about the Bills defense in this game, especially at defensive tackle, where without Jones and Oliver, it's Larry Ogunjobi, Phi Mathis, Deion Walker, and TJ Sanders. And Jordan Poyer, we all know the impact that he's made on this defense this year. And Cam Lewis having to step in. There's a lot to be nervous about with a group of playmakers like Saquon Barkley and Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. Well, the Bills held them to 13 points, 190 yards. They go 3 of 12 on third down, 11 first downs for the game. Saquon Barkley has 19 for 68. Rushing the ball as a team, the Eagles have 26 for 82. Everyone in the world would have signed up for that prior to the game. Jalen Hurts did nothing. 13 of 27 for 110 yards. He didn't complete a pass in the second half. Philly punted on all 5 of their second half possessions, 4 of them being 3-and-outs. The Eagles had 16 yards of offense in the second half of this game. The defense delivered stop after stop after stop. They did it. Had a great plan for Jalen Hurts, who when he has to change his process, he looks horrible. They contained Saquon Barkley in ways that I don't think anyone imagined they could. But here's the hard reality sometimes in the NFL. It's that games are lost more than they are won. And so for as much as the Bills did to limit the yards, to limit the points, to get off the field, the Eagles had incomplete passes all over the place. They didn't produce really anything. They didn't turn over the ball, and they lost 2 yards on 1 sack. The thing that Philly's offense did well is they mitigated negative plays. And the Bills' offense didn't. Drops, 5 sacks for 51 yards lost, 2 fumbles, 1 turnover. The Eagles didn't make really any plays, but they mitigated negative plays. And I know that's boring, but sometimes that's all it takes, especially when there's a weather element. This defense exceeded my expectations. I look forward to watching the tape on this, but felt like Matt Milano showed up in a big way once again. Felt like Deion Walker had some really good moments, getting in the backfield, had a tackle for loss, and had a disruptive moment where he shot a gap and it was able to help lead to a negative play. Christian Benford with 2 huge pass breakups. Shaq Thompson with some big tackles. Max Harrison with a nice stick. Joey Bosa with a few. Greg Rousseau with a few. They did the thing. But ultimately, for as much as the Bills limited the production and the scoring of Philly. Philly didn't take negative plays where they lost yards, and they didn't turn over the football. And the Bills lost the game by a point. I had a text exchange with someone before the game in our Locked On Bills subtext community. I want to share that with you because I thought this person asked a really good question, and then I really felt like the way that I responded to it encapsulated so much of my thoughts about the Bills going into this game and my expectation for the game, and then just my thought on coming out of it. And this was on Saturday. The text said to me, I feel the game versus the Eagles will say a lot about the Bills' chances to not only win the AFC, but win the Super Bowl this year. From my perspective, how well they play this weekend versus a very good team late in the season, win or lose, says a lot. What say you? This is what I said. I really disagree, and I won't be putting much stock in this game. Josh is playing through a foot injury, and without DaQuan Jones or Jordan Poyer, yikes. My expectations are low, but I don't believe anything about this contest will be predictive of the future aside from what we already know about this year's squad's deficiencies. Our playoff optimism is rooted in 17, a run game with some potentially good defensive back play, and a defensive coaching staff that is savvy and can generate takeaways. That'll either show up for 4 games and we advance, or the season ends. So when I think about this game, like, it's played out now. I just don't know what I learned about the 2025 Bills. If anything, the defense exceeded my expectations. And if you look at the last 2 games offensively, execution errors have been significant over the last 2 games since that Patriots win against the Browns and Eagles. 2 good defenses. The Browns, of course, on the road, the Eagles at home in wet conditions, but you did have decision-making issues. You had missed throws. You had drops. And I don't want to see that type of execution problems offensively late in the season. But I don't know what I really learned. This game was honestly closer than I thought it would be. The defense played better than I expected, and the offense had a million chances to do something. My concerns about the 2025 Bills are still the same. Josh is going to go on a heater. The Bills are going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to coach their way to some stops defensively, maybe get some big takeaways, and that's what it'll be. They're showing up in this postseason run with a lot of playoff experience, and Josh Allen. We'll talk more about the path ahead for the Bills based on the consequences of this loss. We'll talk injuries. We'll recap my predictions. We'll talk what's next here on the other side of it. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. You're going to get unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. And Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits save hours every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime will give you that real peace of mind. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNFL and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months free of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNFL. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNFL. Welcome back, folks. Let's talk about the path for the Bills, the injuries. We'll recap my predictions and talk what's next here to close this thing out. Well, with the Bills losing this game, the New England Patriots win the AFC East. The Bills Won it 5 years prior. The Patriots get it this year. And so what does that mean? It means the Bills are a wild card team. And that presents a challenging path forward for the Bills on their playoff run. In what is largely deemed a wide open AFC, the Bills are a wild card team. And let me give you 3 numbers here that'll be pretty discouraging to you. 3.3% of wild card teams have won the Super Bowl. The Bills under Sean McDermott in the playoffs on the road are 0-5. The Buffalo Bills as a franchise in road playoff games, 4-15. And I think most people would agree that since the Bills became an upper echelon team in 2020, this is probably the worst iteration of the Bills, right? They're still 11-5. They're still in the playoffs. They still have Josh Allen. But when you consider the 20 Bills, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 Bills, 25 Bills is the worst one, right? I'd be curious if somebody disagreed with that. Tell me which one in the YouTube comments, and I'd love to hear that thought. Like, what iteration of the Bills did you think was not worse than this one? And so I know there's a lot of thought about, okay, well, what seed do we want the Bills to be? They're going to be the 5, 6, or 7 seed. I just don't find myself caring that much. What would you love to be the 5? So you maybe have to go to Pittsburgh. Well, Pittsburgh's going to have to beat Baltimore. So if you're the 5 seed, I think you're probably going to Baltimore. Got to go to Jacksonville, to New England, to Denver. Whatever. You know, like, honestly, like, with all due respect to those teams, whatever. I could talk myself into circles about little things here and there that might influence things. This is what's most important to me about the Bills entering the playoffs, is that they're as healthy as possible. That's what it's going to come down to me. I think it's less about the path for the Bills and more about the availability of the Bills players. How healthy can they get Dalton Kincaid? How healthy can they get Josh Allen? Is James Cook good to go? I think that's what it's got to come down to. The priority over the next, week is get healthy. As healthy as you can possibly be going into this matchup in the wild card round of the playoffs. And yeah, nobody wants to hear that the New England Patriots won the division. And obviously it looks like a quick turnaround. They're having a great season. Of course, they certainly benefited from playing a last place schedule, but you know what? You got to tip your hat. Don't lose 30-13 to the Dolphins. Don't lose to the Falcons. Don't give Drake May a game-winning drive in your home stadium. Make the throw to Khalil Shakir and beat the Eagles. You know, people will say this is a tough loss. This is only a tough loss to me if the Dolphins beat the Patriots next week and the Bills beat the Jets and that, you blew the division. So, yeah, I'm annoyed that the Patriots are on top of the AFC East this year. But the Bills only have themselves to blame. Let's talk injuries real quick. Sean McDermott was asked after the game about Ed Oliver. This is his quote. He said, quote, "I think he's moving in a good direction, but a little bit of, call it a setback this past week, maybe. So I don't know if it's going to affect his timeline or not. I just don't know enough, but that's all I have for you right now." We'll see, right? Josh Allen had his injured foot x-rayed after the game. Sean McDermott said the scan came back negative, and he continues to deal with soreness, which popped up again today. Josh Allen said convincingly that it had zero effect on him during that game. Josh Allen will never let you believe that an injury affects his performance. He doesn't make excuses. Terrell Bernard couldn't finish this game with a calf injury, so put it on the list, right? The elbow, whatever, lower extremities been the issue, whether it was calf or ankle or hamstring. The dude's broken up, man. Just shut him down. Get him on injury reserve and just try to get this man healthy. Ray Davis left the game with a right knee injury. Not sure about the severity there. Spencer Brown had that eye throat deal. Finished the game. I think he's fine, but that was annoying. Then you had players that couldn't go today due to injury. Dalton Kincaid with a knee, Jordan Poyer with a hamstring, DaQuan Jones with a calf, Jordan Phillips with an ankle, Matt Prater with a right quad injury. So let's hope those guys can get going, especially all of them, but I'm thinking a lot about Matt Prater. If you have Matt Prater in this game, it's probably different. And I don't think you can go to war with Michael Badgley. Like, he's got to go. He's been on the team for 2 weeks. He's doinked an extra point. Couldn't get the ball up high enough to make an extra point against Philly today. And then he missed the landing zone on a kick. I mean, it's 3 very elementary blunders after this guy was released a few weeks ago for missing an extra point that was decisive in a Colts loss. Just got to go. Can't do it. Sorry, bud. Hopefully Matt Prater's good to go. But, yeah, you tried some other kickers out, just get one of those guys in here because this guy feels like a problem. And I can't imagine he has much confidence, right? Based on the mistakes that he's had in his last 3 active games. 1 with the Colts, 2 with the Bills. My predictions, we didn't do so hot here. I did get my first prediction right, which was among the wide receivers, Khalil Shakir would not have the most yards in this game. I nailed that. Brandin Cooks, 101 yards. Tyrell Shavers, 36. Then you had Khalil Shakir with 35. I said James Cook would hit the over on his 87.5 rushing yards. That didn't happen. He got 74 yards. I said Saquon Barkley would hit the over on his rushing yards, which was at 81.5. That did not happen. He had 68. I parlayed Josh Allen under 195.5 passing yards and Jalen Hurts under 189.5 passing yards. Of course, Josh Allen threw for 262, so I missed that, but Jalen Hurts, 110. I figured he'd have a rough day throwing the ball. And I predicted the Bills would lose, and the Bills lost. What's next for the Bills is the regular season finale, probably the Highmark Stadium finale, hosting the Jets. They'll be wearing the red helmets. I hope that the Bills play to be healthy. I hope Josh Allen gets out there and hands the ball off one time to Frank Gore, and let's get to the postseason as healthy as possible. We'll do the All-22 review on this game tomorrow on Monday. And that's probably going to come out a little bit later in the day. On Monday, I have something I got to handle in the morning, so I'll lose a little bit of time. So it's probably going to come out later on Monday than usual, but that's my intent is for it to come out on Monday. And then, of course, we'll have our regular week of programming, but there could be some changes along the way. I mean, if we get we get an understanding from the Bills that, they're going to play this game to get through it healthy, I'm probably not going to do the primer, and I'll shift it to a different type of conversation where we maybe get into some big picture stuff about the postseason run and different components of the team. So I'm not going to sit here and put, my heart and soul in preparing for a game that, we know the Jets they're basically a nothing burger right now of an operation. And then if the Bills are going to play, Trubisky and a bunch of practice squad guys, I'm not going to go too crazy on the primer there, but we'll have some good conversations this week. And then, of course, Bill Squad, it's New Year's this week on Thursday. So me, Jeremy, and Jerry, we're kind of figuring out what day is going to work the best. It'll either be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Once we make that decision, I'll, of course, share it on social media and on this podcast. So head on a swivel as it relates to the midweek Bill Squad. But, we're going to talk you through everything. I'm sure there'll be plenty of news, notes, nuggets, all the things this week as the regular season finale is upon us, and then it's the postseason. So we have plenty to discuss. We'll do it all here on Locked On Bills. Don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills! And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.